Hello, I'm Langdon. Welcome to A Current Affair. What's the difference between a killer and a murderer? For the Toga family, it's justice. Their son, brother and husband, Stephen, a hard-working, compassionate paramedic, was stabbed to death on the job in a McDonald's car park in April last year, just weeks before the arrival of his beautiful baby girl, Lily Mae Stevie. The man accused of taking the 29-year-old's life will likely avoid a jail cell, instead spending time in a mental health facility. Stephen's sister Jess, father Jeff, his mother Jill and Stephen's wife Madison join me. I am so sorry, and we know this is tough, but can you explain your feelings about what you heard in court today?
Yeah, it was very harrowing. We went there for the facts and to experience the procedure, and yeah, today was really tough.
So Jeff, that evidence, there were 2 psychiatric reports and the prosecution and defence agreeing he knew what he was doing but not that it was wrong. So that means he can't be found criminally responsible. But he took Stephen's life. How hard is it knowing it's not murder?
Nothing's changed. What's the difference between the 2 words? So, you know, it leaves a very, very bitter taste in your mouth, and it makes a bit of a mockery of the whole thing, to be honest.
If I'm honest, I feel like I'm sitting here looking at 4 broken people right now.
Yeah, not broken. We're damaged, but we're not broken. Yeah. No, we're not broken. We look like being the ones that are going to get the sentence of life without Stephen. That's hard to look forward to, but we're not broken by any means.
Did you have any idea that this was coming today?
We only found out on Tuesday that this was the way things were going to proceed. Prior to that, we thought that the trial was going to be held over 6 weeks and was going to be a murder trial. And we haven't really had time to come to terms with that. Just another day where they rip the Band-Aid off, you know, and then you hurt all over again.
Look, and this goes to our mental health system, right? And so my understanding is that this person will go into care and stay there until he's deemed safe. So that may mean never. It could mean as little as a few months. And how is it not having any certainty how long he'll be locked up?
Yeah, well, that's the big question, isn't it? You know, if he can convince 2 people that he didn't know what he was doing, he's only got to convince 2 people that he's back to normal and he's out scot-free, virtually.
I mean, this is a person who stabbed your son to death. He terrorised other people earlier that night. He's known to authorities and he wasn't taking his medication at the time. It begs the question, why was he on the streets in the first place?
Sounds familiar, doesn't it? I mean...
Too familiar.
It begs the question, who's responsible and how many other ticking time bombs are walking among us? You know, it's time society was listened to by those who have the ability to change things and change things.
Our boy paid the ultimate price.
Yeah. The saddest part about all of this is if he'd asked my son for help, he would have been showered with compassion, because that's what my boy does, or it does, and he would have got the medical attention that he had, and they would have taken him straight to hospital. And he's paid the ultimate price, and so have we.
And look, I'm sorry, when you talk about that, and you know, here is your son, a man filled with so much compassion, and it's why he became a paramedic. For us to be sitting here and talking about this and what's happened, I'm so sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, thanks, mate. You have to understand. You have to understand how loved he was in the community as well. You know, I talk about dropping pebbles into a pond, and there's the ripple effect. You don't know who's touched by the ripples, Ali, and how many lives my boy helped and affected. People come to me in the street saying, your young fella helped me in hospital. He came back after he'd finished work. I was panicking about a large operation and he held my hand as we went into the operating theatre. Yeah. This is the boy we're talking about. This is...
Every second person knows about Stephen or knew about Stephen.
And this is the thing that, like, because he's no longer here, how many lives would he helped in a full career as a paramedic?
Yeah.
Hundreds? Thousands?
Not a bad bone.
Not a bad bone. See how you're affected by it, Ali?
Yeah.
You've been touched by the ripples, mate. You've been touched by the ripples. And everyone who's watching also is now part of it. Everyone who's feeling sad at home, they've been touched by the ripples.
Can I ask you, Maddie, do you feel robbed of justice?
Absolutely, I do. I feel robbed of justice. I feel robbed for my little girl. I just heartbroken for. I have no words. Yeah.
Realistically, we haven't been robbed of justice yet. We're left swinging until Friday, so that's where we're at. You know, wake up tomorrow morning and look out at the sunny weather and go, beautiful, and all of a sudden the black cloud moves in again.
Yeah.
And that's day to day for us. We have to take the funny things in our lives and find the funny little things before the darkness moves in again every day.
As you said yourself there, it's not over. It is. We've got until Friday. Can I just say, guys, you need to swing loud and you need to swing hard, and we're right behind you.
Yeah, mate.
Thank you.
That's fantastic to know.
Yep.
Fantastic to know. And in the coming weeks, we'll be looking at changing a few things for the frontline workers that are just going to make life better for everyone. All those frontline workers out there, just know that what I'm about to embark on, I'm doing for you.
Yeah. And for Stephen.
And for Stephen. And for the community to feel safe again.
Well, Stephen's law, right? To ensure those who harm our first responders face penalties. And I think that what you're doing and what you're pushing for, and right now, what you had to put up with today and here, and how this is potentially going to play out, just feels unfair.
It does.
It's so unfair.
Ultimately, it's extremely unfair, you know. And if we can change the laws or get laws introduced that are called Stephen's Law, then my son will be immortal.
Yeah.
My son will be with us forever. And anything less will be a waste.
And his little girl, Lily Mae Stevie, she's going to grow up knowing what a hero her dad was.
She'll know. She'll know, mate. She'll know.
Yeah. Hey, look, you were so strong turning up for Stephen today. You showed up at court and he'd be so proud of you. Thank you, Jeff, Jill, Jess and Maddie. Let's see what happens Friday.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
It's just really unfair, isn't it? Well, never in a million years did Jackie O think this interview would air. However you might feel about her, the radio host has always put it all out on the table. Or so we thought. You see, Jackie's been hiding a big secret until now.
I did have moments where I thought, you could die.
Did you care if you lived or died?
Not really. I don't think so. Yeah.
You've said best, nothing at all.
For 30 years, Jackie O. Henderson has built a reputation for being honest.
Some arseholes dumped all their rubbish in my bins.
Some may say, too honest.
No, that wasn't me! I have a feeling that you've got a good vagina, actually.
But behind the laughter, a darkness has been lingering.
It's actually about something that I feel I haven't been very forthcoming about or very truthful about.
How do you live a lie and have so many secrets for so many years?
It's hard work. It is hard work. Living a complete lie, hiding so much from everyone in my life. Yeah, it was like this little secret I had that I just didn't share with anyone.
I'll be checking into the Betty Ford Centre in Rancho Mirage. I'll be spending 28 days there. I'm voluntarily enrolled in a 12-step program there to treat the substance dependence and drug addiction I've been able to keep secret for 3 long and painful years.
How do you feel now that you've shared those darkest burdens with the world?
I think it's really freeing to do that. I mean, with that, there's a lot of vulnerability and sensitivity to it. Well, so, yes, obviously, like, there are people who are going to be critical and cruel and judge you. But then when you hear from people who have reached out and they've never told anyone this secret that they have, like I did, I know how big that is. I know.
Broadcasting live from the Kyle and Jackie O Tower on top of...
I want to go back a little bit, like way back. You grew up on the Gold Coast and then you moved around quite a lot, making a name for yourself in radio, and in Sydney you meet Carl Sandilands.
Yeah.
I love that you didn't have a high opinion of him when you first met him.
No, I did not. I did not. Well, because I didn't think he was capable. And I could soon see that he's very witty. You know, he's very quick. And it wasn't long before it did click for us and really kick into gear.
And it really firmed into a friendship. And I mean, I know it's one that's been tested at times over the years, but he's actually a dear friend.
He is a dear friend. I mean, I haven't had a man in my life, apart from my dad, where he's been there by my side every day for 25 years. That's a significant relationship.
Is he the best relationship you've had with a man outside of immediate family?
Oh, no. Oh, geez, he's the most interesting and tumultuous, but yeah, he's the most consistent, I guess.
Here I thought this would be hilarious, and it's backfired. I'm sorry, Jackie.
I thought the whole street hated me.
With the success of the show rising, that came at the detriment of your own morals and values.
Yes.
Is that just the price you pay?
No, I think that was a case of it got away from us in a way where we kind of weren't seeing clearly. It was a time in our career, I think, where we had a machine around us and we'd gotten to number one, but we'd gotten there by making a fair bit of noise. And in the book, I likened it to Lady Gaga, where you peak so early, you're wearing the meat dress, and then before you know it, you've lost your way. You're trying to outdo the last thing you did, and then
it gets ugly.
It gets ugly, and you sort of had to stop yourself and go, what are we doing? Like, what? This isn't nice. This doesn't feel good.
But I love that in the book you confront all of this. Like you don't sugarcoat any of that time, and you talk about the 2009 incident, the lie detector stunt, where the young girl admitted to being raped on air.
Yeah.
I got raped when I was 12 years old.
Right. And is that the only experience you've had?
You were taken off air for 3 weeks at that time. Did you think you were going to lose your job?
I don't think I cared at that point. I think I was more just in shock of what was happening, what had happened. How did we get here? Why did we not think that this could possibly happen to us when you do segments like this? I think it was inexperience and immaturity, and ambition, but at the cost of your values. Yeah.
Despite the controversies, Kyle and Jackie O's popularity kept climbing. Now the most successful breakfast duo in Australian FM history. But as her career was soaring, Jackie's personal life was falling apart. The catalyst, the end of her 18-year marriage to Lee Henderson, and not seeing her daughter Kitty, now 13, as often. So how did you cope?
Well, I mean, I coped really badly. I didn't do it the healthy way, that's for sure. I mean, I just thought the answer was, oh, I'll have a drink instead. And then that drink, you know, obviously became a drink with a pill, and it just went from there.
It sounds like it was booze, pills, oblivion, repeat.
Yes, it really was. It was a horrible existence of just not remembering, not wanting to think, feel, do. It's almost like you're in a coma.
So when you talk about 24 Panadeine Fort and 10 to 12 Stilnox, which is a powerful sleeping tablet in a day.
Yeah.
I don't know how you even woke up.
I don't know how I woke up either. I really don't. Someone was watching out for me. They really were. But I remember waking up and I had to catch my breath. It was like I had stopped breathing. How could anyone survive taking that much?
Did you care if you lived or died?
Not really. I don't think so. Yeah.
It just goes to how looks can be deceiving, right?
Totally.
We see you, this gorgeous woman, always been gorgeous, with what we think is this perfect life.
I don't know why I felt like that. I think I was just so numb, and it's just a straight. I really do blame the power of addiction on that, because the fact that I did have moments where I thought, you could die. You look what you're taking. You know, I'd see all those empty packets and I would go, that's confronting. But you still keep doing it.
How much did your family suffer?
Well, my mum, have always been very close to, and I really pushed her away during that. And I feel really, obviously terrible about that. I think it would have been really hard for my mum to watch that, for me to sort of push her away anytime she questioned my health.
And your little girl, Kitty, I mean, she may not have understood what was going on, but...
Yeah, well, when I had the conversation with her eventually about it, she said, oh, I just thought you were a bit tired because you work breakfast hours, but my daughter has just been... Oh, she's just beautiful. She really is. She doesn't judge anyone. And I think in a way it's nice to have that open dialogue with your children. It's something that is really important, I think.
So heading off to rehab, who knew where you were going and why?
So the only people that knew were my mum and dad, my brother, and my personal assistant and my best friend. That was it. No one else knew. No one.
You lied to Kyle.
Yeah, well, it's funny because I called him and said, listen, I wouldn't be saying this if I didn't need to, but I need to take a few weeks off. And he joked, oh, God, are you going to rehab? And then just started laughing and then changed the subject. And I was on the phone going, what do I say? What do I say? I can't lie. I can't lie. And then he just started talking about something else. And I was like, thank God. But he never knew. He never knew or even suspected.
So when did you share it with the team and Kyle where you'd been and why?
Never. What you heard on the air, what everyone heard is when I shared it.
That's the first time?
Yes.
God, you're good at keeping a secret, aren't you?
Very cunning.
Why was that so important?
It was really important to share my story and tell it the way I wanted it to be told. I think that a lot of people hide things like this. They never want to tell anyone. I mean, you would never, in my wildest dreams, I never thought I'd be sitting here talking to you and being so open about it. Never. And so,
I love that you are.
Thank you. I love that I am too. I really do. It's so hard to put your hand up, and if anyone puts their hand up and says, I'm going to go to rehab because A, I want to save myself, B, I want my family to be okay. I don't want them to go through this. Everyone should be celebrating that, and they shouldn't feel like they have to hide it.
And it is brave to tell the world. The proceeds from Jackie's memoir, The Whole Truth, will go to rehab charity Odyssey House. And if you or someone you know needs help, call the National Alcohol and Other Drug Hotline on 1800 250 015. Up next, you may not know his face, but you definitely know his voice.
I don't work a day of my life. I actually bounce out of bed every day.
It's the voice that stops the nation. The Melbourne Cup race caller. The guy who can make your day if you back the winner.
At 3 o'clock tomorrow afternoon, this is the man who'll have the ear of Australians.
Flamin' Romans, 50 metres to go, punched out, won the opener by a half-length, Mr Kipchoge.
Matt Hill will be saddling up for his 8th Melbourne Cup call, and at 43, the finish post is nowhere in sight.
I don't work a day of my life. I actually bounce out of bed every day. Can't wait to get behind the microphone for something.
Race broadcasting in Australia has been the envy of the world. The list of those who've brought those Melbourne Cups into our homes is in itself a field of champions. Names like Bert Bryant, Bill Collins.
Now the horses are moving into the stalls for the running of the 1987 Melbourne Cup.
More recently, Greg Miles, and Johnny Tapp was known to head down the Hume Highway to put his own stamp on the Melbourne Cup. Like so many others, Tappy is a fan of Matt Hill's.
Matthew Hill is the consummate professional. He certainly developed into one of the best, most articulate and most knowledgeable racing commentators in Australia.
So Matt, you're the premier race caller in Australia. I'm going to put you to the test. Who's that one?
Have no idea.
Oh,
no,
Matt.
They've got to carry colours, TJ. They need colours.
Oh, come on, surely it's got a colour. It's a beautiful brown.
Yeah, no. I need the jockey with the colour.
Race calling would have to be one of the toughest fields to break into. It's essentially a closed shop, but nothing was going to put the brakes on Matt's ambitions.
When I was 15, I'd start getting little jobs calling barrier trials, or my first ever race meeting was a place called Poon Kerry, just outside of Mildura, and Mum would drive her little yellow Toyota to all of these places so that I could have an opportunity.
In fact, it was his mum who drove him to Caulfield when we profiled Matt for a news story when he was just 16.
As a youngster, 9 or 10 years of age, looking at the important men up in the box, high up in the stand with the best view in the house, yeah, it's like a passion.
And the one thing I recall about that story, way back when, was a certain vow he made.
I'm going to call that Melbourne Cup one day.
27 years later, Matt called the first of his Melbourne Cups, and since then, he's led the field. Such is his reputation, Matt was invited earlier this year to call a race at the famed Saratoga racecourse in the United States.
And they're off. Away they go. And a beautiful line too.
They told me to talk slower because basically they can't understand our accent.
It was a box ticked. So too a couple of months ago when he was part of Channel 9's Olympic team. It wasn't his first games. The first, Beijing 2008, almost ended his life.
Acute myeloidosis has a death rate of 90%. So I was air-vac'd out of China to Hong Kong. I was told before I was placed in an induced coma that your mum loves you.
Matt's mum has been such an important, influential figure in his life, whether it be willing him to pull through that near-death experience or driving him around country courses in that old Toyota. Then there's the Melbourne Cup.
So I always imagine that I'm just calling the Melbourne Cup to my mum driving over the Westgate Bridge and she's listening, and that's the only person I'm telling the story to.
Sadly, Matt had no sooner returned from the Paris Olympics and his mother died. It's left a massive void this spring, but you'd never know it as he continues to do her proud. And Matt's mum was definitely proud.
Everyone she came in contact with, she would brag. She was one of the great braggers, my mum.
When the Melbourne Cup field jumps, Matt, like the horses he'll call, will need to be at the top of his game.
In fact, it's almost getting to the stage where the walk from the broadcast box to the car is the bit at the end of the day I don't look forward to, because you're always going to get some very good feedback.
Come tomorrow, there'll be millions ready to deliver their own critique, along with a certain mum.
She'll be listening. She'll be listening, I can guarantee it.
And she'll be so proud, Matt. We can't wait to hear you call the race tomorrow here on 9. Coming up, from the voice of the Cup to the king of the Cup.
We love you, Marty, and if it's right or right, I love you, Marty.
Tomorrow night, brace yourselves.
Our Cup King, Martin King.
We love you, Marty, and if it's right or die.
Exclusive access trackside at Flemington for the race that stops the nation.
You love the Cup?
Yes, it is so much fun.
The people.
Just be colourful and enjoy the day.
The party.
I apologise for him now. We'll have that tomorrow. I'm Ali Langdon. Thanks for your company. Have a great night.